77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Now, outside of the courthouse, you don't have the marshals regulating the behavior. You don't have the marshals upholding that prim and proper and etiquette that is happening inside of a courtroom. No, instead, I kid you not, people are pouring baby oil on one another outside this courthouse. Baby oil having a very big play in the freak-offs we heard about. You had people saying it's not Rico, it's Frico. You got applause coming when the mother of Sean Diddy Combs, Miss Janice, got out of the vehicle just a few moments ago, really, behind us and walked inside to elated cheers and her greeting the crowd. Every time the family, the children, the 6 adult children come in, 3 boys and 3 girls, they are met by cheers.
It's not Rico, it's Frico. outside the courtroom, people are pouring baby oil over each other. Is it laced with anything is the question? Carlos, play it again, Sam.
Now, outside of the courthouse, you don't have the marshals regulating the behavior. You don't have the marshals upholding that prim and proper and etiquette that is happening inside of a courtroom. No, instead, I kid you not, people are pouring baby oil on one another outside this courthouse. Baby oil having a very big play in the freak-offs we heard about. You had people saying it's not Rico, it's Frico. You got applause coming when the mother of Sean Diddy Combs, Miss Janice, got out of the vehicle.
Oh, my friends, welcome to the Wednesday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, the fastest hour in American media, and that's even before we apply the baby oil. Okay, P didn't do some of it, but he did a little bit of it, and so long and short of it, he faces, if he were going to get the max on the 2 counts of under the Mann Act of importing girls for prostitution, or whoever he imported for prostitution. Not sure if they're all girls or not. I haven't followed that quickly. Maxie could get his 20 years, but they didn't prove the Rico and the other stuff. So it's Frico now, not Rico, and they all lived happily ever after, except for Cassie, and some of the others. And here's, just so we can wrap this up and move on, cut to the lawyer for Cassie Ventura, the woman he kicked around the hotel and was the girlfriend.
Ultimately, he receives a substantial sentence for what he's done. And, we're pleased that Cassie has brought to light everything that has happened in this trial. I just spoke with her and with the U.S. Attorney's Office team. And she's in a good place. She's pleased that the jury has found him liable, guilty of 2 federal crimes. The reaction is that we're
okay. That's enough. She's okay. She did issue a warning later. They're worried about if he gets out of jail with a light sentence. They're worried about what he's going to do to the witnesses. Okay. Anyway, that story's over now. Thank you very much. Now. One of the other stories, my friends, there is so much going on after the Alligator Alcatraz opening. It should be operational today. And just regarding immigration in general. I do want to spend some time with the big, beautiful bill. It has worked its way into the House. Princess Diana. Where is Princess Diana? Call Princess Diana on the telephone. See if you can reach Princess Diana. Because I have a question for Princess Diana. I want to know if she knew that we know now that there was something in the bill that we didn't know before. And I want to get Princess Diana's reaction to it live, just almost immediately on the big, beautiful bill that Chuck Schumer, with his petty self, had forced some kind of Senate rule so that they had to rename it from Big Beautiful Bill. He's so petty. And Democrats are becoming so irrelevant. But anyway, I found shortly before the show, I discovered something that's in this bill and the Senate version of the bill. And I am just pleased as punch that it's in there. Might not be able to get her today. We're waiting. I see lips moving on his. I'll know momentarily whether the princess will acquiesce to my humble request. Yes, I'm still waiting. He's chatting with her. Anyway, what's the verdict? And don't tell me anything with baby oil. What's the verdict? Just. Oh, goodness gracious. I called her at an inopportune moment. Oh, well, we'll just have to do it myself then. Play her theme, and I'll be Princess Diana, since Princess Diana is not going to be here.
It's time for Radio Royalty with James Golden and America's Princess of Policy, Princess Di.
Hello. I'm so glad to hear you, James. I'm boarding a plane to Michigan, so nest yourself. And maybe I'll catch up with you on the weekend. Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's what I found out is in the big, beautiful bill. This blows my mind. I cannot tell you how excited I am over this one provision. And I realize, folks, there are 12 Republicans that are lined up against this thing. They're saying, no way, no, we hate what the Senate has done with this. But the Senate did put something in it that is totally amazing. One of the major sticking points now is the Senate's adoption of the current policy baseline, an accounting method never used before in the budget reconciliation process to score tax cut cost. Using that baseline rather than the House current's baseline theoretically zeroes out about 90% of the bill's projected 10-year $3.3 trillion cost, allowing tax cut permanence and negating the need for Senate committees to find hundreds of billions of dollars in offsets. Now, folks, this is arcane in the weeds as you can get stuff. And I'm not so sure that what I'm thinking it really is. But if it is what I think this is, it marks a dramatic shift in the way that the American budget has been fleecing Americans for decades. I first became aware of this baseline budgeting issue when Rush Limbaugh explained it to America. And here's simply put what the way that Congress does your budget with baseline budgeting. Let me ask you a question before I set this up. Carlos, let's say you actually did a budget and you had to sit down to do a budget. I'm not saying whether you do or don't, I don't know. But let's say you said, I'm going to write down a budget and then I'm going to do a budget for this year and for next year. Would you automatically say, before you even sat down to put pen to paper, would it make sense for you to say, you know what, next year I'm going to spend 10% more than I'm spending this year? Would you do that?
Why would I go there before I even know this year's plan?
Okay, hold that answer. TJ, if you constructed a budget, would you, and say, I'm going to do a budget for the next 2 years, would you do that? Would you say, okay, next year I'm going to just spend 10% more than I'm spending this year?
No.
You wouldn't. Jonas, we're doing this. Jonas, if you're a married man, I don't know, your wife probably runs the budget. If you're a good married man, let you have a little say once in a while, but maybe till you really mean it. Anyway, if you were doing the budget, again, you're a married man. I understand this is doubtful, but if you were in charge of the budget, would you, if you were doing a 2-year budget, automatically assume that next year you're going to spend maybe 10, 15% more than you're spending this year?
No, that's something I would start thinking about like November, December.
Based on what? Based on things like how much money you think is...
Right, based on this current year and like, get a new job, have the same job type stuff.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Now, it might surprise all of you to learn how the way your government does a budget. Written into law, and it has been for decades. It's called baseline budgeting. So they take the amount that they spent this year, and then they add an automatic increase on top of that spending for the next year, without ever measuring what the circumstances will be. What are the circumstances in the economy? This is why there's a mad dash to make sure that you have spent all the money, whether it's wasted or not, by the end of the fiscal year. Because if you don't, then all of a sudden that number shows you actually spent, and you don't get as large an increase in the next year. So it is a self-perpetuating budget hike. That's the way that the United States Congress has been under the House rules. This, what do they call it? Baseline budgeting. Whatever was the baseline for the past year, they're going to increase it for the next year. That's the best way I can explain it. Now, if in this bill, if I'm reading this correctly, and I will wait until the Ness is off the plane and can give me her official version. But if I'm reading this right, the Senate is finally saying, no, we're not going to score. We're not going to do budgets like this anymore. And if that is the case, that is one of the biggest deals in the way that business as usual operates in the swamp that there has been. So, okay, out of the weeds now. We have other things to talk about. The stuff that's going on in immigration will blow your mind. And there's a lot, by the way, of angst over this big, beautiful bill, too, over the next few. Well, we've only got, 2 more days, because it's supposed to be voted on by the 4th of July, which means today and tomorrow is when all the action happens, Jackson. So, James Golden, Snerdley, baby oil, and you. No Rico, baby, is Frico. On Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Coming back, don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, it is Snerdley. When we get back, we are going to go in depth on, this immigration business. I don't know whether you've heard former PMS DNC hostette Joy Reid, but it's Joy Reid and her version on Alligator Alcatraz. And the Democrats are going nuts over that. You know what they're not going nuts over? the ruling yesterday at Penn State with guys not playing girl sports. They have been fairly quiet about that. I mean, you had Keith Olbermann going after Riley Gaines on it, but, I mean, no one takes him seriously. James Golden, it is Snerdley with you. And, of course, if you want to weigh in on the big, beautiful bill, we're gonna actually talk to some people about that. Anyway, keep it right here. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Unpopular opinion, but I don't think that the fetus that I aborted was meant to go on and cure cancer, but maybe all of the infertile women who are spending tens of thousands of dollars and all these medical resources to try to have kids that they clearly aren't meant to have, maybe they're the ones that are supposed to be trying to cure cancer or do something meaningful with their lives other than just procreate, which, like, cockroaches do. It's not really special.
Liberals are in. Liberals. Okay, my friends, I got a bunch of news stories here that we could get to in arcane detail, but I would rather just talk my way through some of what has been going on this past 24-hour period. Every day, the fire hose. In the wee hours of the morning, shortly after midnight, the story broke that Donald Trump had reached a settlement was arrived at with Paramount, CBS News, 60 Minutes. They're going to pay Donald Trump $16 million in this settlement. A lot of it's going to go toward building his future presidential library, and that takes care of the lawsuit brought by that horrid reporting on 60 Minutes with the edited interview with Kamala intended to help try to push her over the finish line, or at least not expose how awful she was under fire. So you had that news story. Of course, yesterday was a big day. I mentioned already, the left is surprisingly quiet over this Leah Thomas business, with Penn State saying, oops, we're going to apologize to the female students. We are going to strip all of those titles that he, biological male, won while competing against biological women. They made such a big deal out of this, and right now, try to find a congressman, congresswoman, United States senator rushing out to the microphone to say how awful this is. They've gone quiet. What does that tell you? Okay, on immigration and other matters, they and their pundit class are not so tired. First, let us go to the former hostette on PMS DNC, Joy Reid, and what she is saying about the bill. Cut 6, that would be, and let's take a listen into that.
Former MSNBC host Joy Reid, she's got an opinion on the detention facility, and she calls it a concentration camp for brown people. Take a listen to this.
Ron DeSantis is still governor of Florida. He took the Comfy Couch hosts on a tour of the concentration camp that he's building in Florida in order to round up people, brown people, and throw them in a camp because he doesn't want them in Florida.
What is the department's response to these accusations, Micah?
Well, it's just fundamentally untrue. The goal of Alligator Alcatraz is not to lock up any individual based off of the color of their skin, but rather based off of whether or not they've committed crimes against the United States and against our American citizens. It's very important to note
she's talking
that
with a DHS executive, DHS guy, appointee, assistant director of something or another over at the DHS. Oh, that's simply not true. Of course, it's not a concentration camp. But that does not stop Democrats from making all sorts of accusations. The pundit class. Now let's check in with the celebrity class. This is a very not Alcatraz alligator Alcatraz in particular. But this is the noted celebrity singer, Sharika. Is that how we pronounce her name, right? I've got that right? It's Shakira. Shakira, not Sharika or Screech Rika. It's you like her, don't you? I can tell by the you like her. Anyway, yes.
Not a huge fan because she's a big tax invader, but actually no butt.
She has no butt. Is that what you're saying?
No. I was gonna make a positive
You said
comment.
no butt. I'm trying to understand why you don't like her.
Because she makes so much money, and then she is a tax invader. Like, why would you do
Okay, a
it?
tax evader. Well, anyway, this is Shakira. Sharika. I didn't do that intentionally.
In the U.S. is it means living in constant fear, and it's painful to see. I just hope that they can be treated, and that we all can be treated under principles of equity and freedom. Those same principles that shaped this nation and so many other big, powerful nations in the world have been shaped by the hard work of immigrants. What I worry the most is that this country, as well as many other countries that have issues with immigration, find a humane solution to those issues.
There is a humane solution. The humane solution is follow the rules. Follow the law. That's humane. What is inhumane about the law? Okay. So now we've heard from the media class, Joy Reid, they're building concentration camps. You've heard from Shakira, we need to treat immigrants equity because immigrants built everything, I guess, is her message. So now let's turn to the political class in L.A. and let's listen to Representative Robert Garcia. And he's standing around a bunch of people out in L.A. That would be cut 10. And let's pick his brain.
Donald Trump, Kristi Noem are not welcome in Los Angeles, Southeast Los Angeles, Long Beach, or anywhere else in our communities. They are causing terror to people here, and they are kidnapping and arresting people with no criminal records. In addition, this massive bill that is in front of the Congress right now only supercharges the terror that could happen here in Los Angeles and across Southeast LA. It will double the amount of detention opportunities for Donald Trump and Kristi Noem. And please understand, these centers right now, people are in these detention centers with no due process, which is illegal under the Constitution, little access to attorneys or help, and many are actually saying that they're not getting enough food or water or support. These are horrific conditions that must end. I'll also say this. This community deserves justice, and we're going to make sure on the Oversight Committee and as leaders that everyone that's responsible will be held accountable.
Well, that's good because I want to know, number one, where is the proof that, not just words, proof that people are being mistreated? Because Tom Homan on a regular basis, who actually knows a little bit more about this than Representative Garcia, says there is no mistreatment. If there is, we need to know. Okay? Now, he's charging the federal government with terrorism, with kidnapping people. These are very serious allegations. Democrats throw them around like waters. Where's the proof of it? There's no due process. A lot of these people have been adjudicated, found to have, they're in the country illegally. They can be deported. And many of them have had multiple hearings. In fact, some, and this is the latest thing they were objecting to, you remember this, go to court. And then when they're walking out of court, judge says, okay, we're dropping those charges. So detention is okay. ICE is right there at the courthouse now, picks them up, deports them. That's not illegal. That is due process. They were found, the judge in many cases is dropping the case. But now, so you've got concentration camps for brown people, terrorism, kidnapping, no records. We've heard the entertainment class. We've heard the media class. We've heard the political class. Now, how does this translate? And what are the citizens who are hearing all these awful things on the left, who listen to left-wing media? How do they react to what you're hearing? Well, I'll tell you what, let's check in with one. Cut 9. This is what, and folks, this is not parody. This guy is serious, and his emotions are serious based on everything that the left has been saying and putting out there. This is what you get now with the people that, let's say, don't pay attention to the news as closely as we do.
I can't believe I just heard this. Did you know this? Trump, if he has ordered the illegals to be shackled, flown out over the ocean, and thrown out into the ocean. That's right. How is it possible? Just taking people, just ripping them off the streets, ripping your friends, your neighbors, your relatives. He's taking them, putting metal on them like the slaves of the past, flying them out over the ocean, and throwing them out. What kind of a heartless person does that? He's got to be stopped. What do we do? We've tried everything. We've tried to arrest him. We've tried to get him in court. We've tried everything. And now he's throwing people out in the ocean to be eaten by sharks and whales. What has America become? The fascists, they're feeding us to the fish.
Now, just a note, I don't think that human beings are in the diet of whales. They eat krill and most of them, but orcas are nasty whales sometimes. But that is what people think. That is what some people on the left, this is what it is driving some people on. This guy was genuinely, folks, he's crying. He's hysterical because he doesn't believe that, well, he does believe, apparently, that this is actually what Republicans are doing. And when you listen to people like their elected representatives, like some of their figures on media pumping this stuff, then you get that. Now, Tom Homan was asked about widespread fear on immigration. Cut 5, this is what he had to say about that.
There's widespread fear among...
If you're in the country legally, you should be concerned. It's not okay to be in the country legally. If you're a national security threat, you should be working. We're looking for you.
Now, while all this is going on, folks, I got so much stuff here. I'm trying to get to as much as possible. By the way, the big, beautiful bill, which we will focus more time on tomorrow, professional gamblers are unhappy. Apparently, there is a provision in the big, beautiful bill regarding gamblers, and it has many of them seeing red. But before I go, I want to at least play two other things for you if we have time. One is Republican John Kasich. You hear the hysteria that is being stirred up by the left. You have seen everything that they've come at Republicans with. Here's the latest from Republican John Kasich, 18, whose daddy, by the way, was a mailman.
What I've always expected or wondered about is why aren't we having Republicans link up with Democrats who are moderate as well and start to create a new coalition from which we can govern? That's what I had been calling for when we had the fight over the speaker's job with McCarthy. Why can't Republicans and Democrats come together? Because I'm a Republican, but the Republican Party was my vehicle. Mike, it was never my master. So my job was to serve the public, not to serve a political party. And too much of that now is self-interest on both sides of the aisle. And that's why we are not solving America's problems today. Without both sides getting along and respecting one another while they disagree, we're not going to solve these problems. And they are critical for our country's future and our children.
Why can't we just get along? Why can't we just get along? Well, I'll tell you why we can't get along. Let's check into the hearing with Representative Maxwell Frost, one of the younger Democrats. And he actually said this in a hearing, and the reaction was palpable. 19. Representative Maxwell Frost.
You see, they say they're pro-life because they want the baby to be born, go to school, and get shot in the school. Die in the school, die on the streets. No. That is what they say. I moved to strike his words. Over the cliff.
You've gone over. We were going to be quiet, but you've gone over now.
I meant every word.
That's Virginia Fox was running that committee.
We are going to strike your words, but on the other hand, it might be good to leave your words because that's how you feel. But you are not going to come into this room and impugn our integrity. You will not. We are pro-life people from conception to natural death. Most of us are. And don't you come in here and say, we want to preserve life so people can get shot.
That's what I've seen.
How are you going to react? How are you going to come together with somebody like this? This is the Democrat Party, whether it's hate Trump, hate MAGA, hate you because you actually are of the belief that life is sacred. And so now you get guys like this young Maxwell Frost out of Florida. The Republicans are pro-life. They want the child to be born so that the child can grow up, go to school, get shot, and get killed in school. That's what they want. This is sick. And yeah, so John Kasich, you want to get along? Want to get along with people like this? Help yourself. Want everybody to get along? You tell me how you get along with hate. No, thank you. Oh, man. James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media. Continues. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, you just couldn't call, could you, Magus? You just couldn't help out a few thousand or million people who are going to go hungry and are going to live in the streets. Thanks, MAGA. Thanks a whole hell of a lot. Because most of the people live in your states.
Now, outside of the courthouse, you don't have the marshals regulating the behavior. You don't have the marshals upholding that prim and proper and etiquette that is happening inside of a courtroom. No, instead, I kid you not, people are pouring baby oil on one another outside this courthouse. Baby oil having a very big play in the freak-offs we heard about. You have people saying it's not Rico, it's Frico. You've got applause coming when the mother of Sean Diddy Combs, Miss Janice, got out of the vehicle just a few moments ago, really, behind us and walked.
Oh, yes. 2007, Hy Zarrett passed away on this day. He's the guy that wrote the lyrics for Unchained Melody, one of the biggest hits of the entire decade of the 60s. The Righteous Brothers, of course. Produced by Phil Spector. We're going to leave you with that today. James Golden, Snerdley with you. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you. Your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we're back tomorrow. Till then, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org.
Greg Kelly here for Colonial Metals Group. China's leading the largest anti-American alliance since World War II, one that's already dumped U.S. bonds, grabbed 43 million acres of our farmland, and is plotting to dethrone the dollar. That's why IRA and 401k savers are protecting their savings with gold. Go to freegoldguide.com/Kelly or call 800-655-5186 for your free gold guide on how to protect your wealth with gold 100% tax-free.